Let's talk about like the friendship that you have to build with your kids. Become their best friends, just like in a relationship. You know, you have to become best friends first before you take it to the next step. So, in order for your kids to have trust in you and for you to have better communication, you have to make them your best friend. You have to talk to them.
Yeah, but there has to be boundaries and balance there too.
Yeah, like, you know play the roles of...
Right, yeah. It's a lot of different hats as a parent that you have to wear.
Respect. More than anything, I was talking to my mom the other day. I was like, there's a lot of parents out there who let their kids be their best friend in a way where they let them do everything and they make it seem like everything is okay. And, well, if you're making them seem that everything's okay, there's also the level of respect, because there's going to be a point where they're not respecting you anymore as a parent. You know, they're going to be like, oh, that's my best friend, so I'm going to treat them as really just anybody else.
Right.
And then you start losing respect and then losing control over the guidance. So.
Yeah, because you definitely, I mean, that's what a parent is supposed to do, is to guide you.
Right.
And that takes discipline. That takes, communication, different approaches. I mean, it takes a lot. But yeah, if your kids don't respect you, it's bad. Yeah, because I'm in a point now where I really feel that my youngest has no respect for his dad.
Yeah.
It's not right. I can understand why he doesn't. It doesn't make it right, but that has to be fixed, and that's what I'm trying to tell my ex-husband. You've got to fix that somehow, because of your actions and what you have done that he has seen, heard, been around, he doesn't have respect for you as a man.
Right.
Maybe it's his dad, but not like as a man. And so I can't fix that for him.
Exactly.
He has to fix that.
And that's where your communication with their father is. You have it there, and the respect he should have for you, like understanding, to take that advice, because you see that flaw and you see where they can grow, but he has to put that effort in.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because if it continues, it's only going to get worse through his teenage years.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then it's going to be an issue for my son in his adult time, because there was a toxic relationship there between him and his dad, and I don't want that.
Lack of connection, communication.
Right.
Communication, when I say communication, is more of even love language, like you were saying, body language. Love language is different in any kind of way, and with different people, they all have their own love language, so you have to learn that, communicate that with them, so you could help each other.
Yeah, and then it's all about his perception of the communication too. Yeah. Because you can say one thing and somebody can perceive it totally different.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I don't know, hopefully that works out, and I think that it will,
Well, just keeping your husband or ex-husband as a friend, is definitely always going to work out, because you have that friendship.
Yeah. Well, you have to, like, somebody said something, like when I first got a divorce, well, you have to deal with him until the boys are 18. And I was like, no, I have to deal with him for the rest of my life, because just because my kids turn 18 doesn't mean that he stops being their dad or I stop being their mom. My parents, even my mom and my dad, to this day, they've been divorced for like 25, 30 years. They still have to communicate with each other over kids, and grandkids and that kind of stuff.
Dang. That makes me think a lot on what I want out of my future, I wouldn't want to have 2-3 wives and 2-3 different kids, I would like to have one solid family, more because it would prove myself something, not, not having a father figure in my life, having a single parent and stuff like that. It's like,
that you would break the mold of that.
Cycle. I want to break that cycle. That way Aiden can see that it's possible.
Right.
That anything is possible. Because if he sees that I have also failed, he's going to be like, oh, this is normal. Let me just be okay with settling.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a friendship I want to create with him, let him understand we're going to fall, but it's up to you whether you want to get back up and keep going.
My dad used to tell me all the time when I was growing up, he would say, you know what? A mistake is worth making as long as you learn from it. If you make a mistake and you didn't learn shit from it, you didn't do yourself any kind of favor at all. But if you make a mistake and you learn from it and you realize, oh, okay, I did this and I got this outcome, so let me not do this this way, you know, or whatever. Let me not do it again, or let me change how I did it to get a different outcome. If you want something different, you have to do something different, kind of thing. So.
And when you love someone, you understand that their mistake was a genuine mistake. Like, I know Izzy can attest to that, like, by just seeing how I was in life, where she was like, that mistake was definitely because he was blind and he was stupid to not see, you know?
Yeah.
And this mistake was definitely something he wanted to make a mistake in. So, stuff like that, you see that in your kids too, and you know how to treat them.
Yeah. And I try not, like, when my boys do something, I don't down them at all. And I know some parents do, and it just gets all over me. But
you kill dreams.
Yeah, I mean, you make them feel this big. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's probably where a lot of people have to go to counseling. You know, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
But
you limit somebody's God. You know, you limit their creativity, their ideas.
Yeah. Because you make them feel bad about themselves.
Yeah.
You know, when you down somebody like that, and I don't know. I didn't want my goal, of course, and that's why I stuck in with my marriage as long as what I did for as bad as what it had gotten, is because I didn't want that for my boys. You know, I didn't want them to come from a broken home and have to deal, you know, with a stepmom and a stepdad, which I've been pretty blessed to a point on that.
Well, but you've learned, you know, that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, there just comes a point sometimes, too, because it takes two to make it work. It takes work and effort on both ends. So if it's only coming from one end and not the other.
I mean, you wouldn't be a friend with somebody who's not trying, you know?
Right. Well, I mean, yeah.
I mean, to a certain
extent.
Yeah. I mean,
when it gets uncomfortable, sometimes when people are like, okay, well, you know, I did this little bit of work and I made this right. Well, no, that is not where you stop, you know?
Well, yeah, you get what I'm saying, though, because there's some friendships where you know you have to let go.
Yeah.
And they may or may not come back, and you'll have to accept it the way it is.
Right.
With the marriage, it's a little tougher because it's another level of commitment. You know, it's for life.
And then when you bring kids into it,
it's a whole different level.
Yeah.
So, but starting off with the friendship, I mean, I wouldn't want anybody around my circle who's making it toxic.
Right.
You know? I have to get that venom in. I have to clear it up.
And sometimes people, especially like, can come in and it start off really good. You know what I'm saying? And they bring something positive and they teach you something, and then
be comfortable.
And then their season is up. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I always thought, that it made me a bad person to let people go, or to be like, you know what, this isn't good for me, so I'm going to walk away from it. I always thought that would make me a bad person. Now I'm like, I'm quick to do it. Once I get that gut feeling, I'm like, okay, there's no reason why I'm still going to entertain this, because I already know, and I'm going to pay attention to my intuition of the situation.
I felt that the other day, and I had to change that way of thinking, because to what point do you stop crossing people out, you know? Izzy has gotten to a point where she's very limited with her family, you know? And I feel like sometimes we need that to keep going. But, yeah, you have to find yourself first before you can try with anyone else. You can start erasing them X's off of people in the past, but you got to know how to approach them, and if you even want to. You know? You always tell me you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, you know? So once you've evaluated your circle, your family, or that firm, solid foundation, then you can start reaching out to the people who matter to you and who you want to change. And even if they're not wanting to change, like a parent, a cousin, a brother, you're going to stick there and try to approach differently, like how you did with your son. You know, you're going to be there until you've ran out of energy, pretty much. Yeah. Or until you realize that you can't do anything else. You've done everything you could, and just pray for them.
Yeah, and sometimes I think walking away from people does more good to them than what it does you enabling, because there comes a point to where you become an enabler.
You make them comfortable. You make them comfortable, and you get comfortable doing things for them. So yeah, for sure.
Because I know, like in my marriage, I became an enabler. Yeah. I know I did.
Same here. Izzy did the same with me. I did the same with her in certain areas.
Yeah. Right, yeah. So, I mean, I could say that was probably my biggest mistake in the marriage. That was my fault.
Getting comfortable,
was being the enabler. You know what? Whatever. I got it. Just, because I don't like confrontation. And I don't like to gripe and be negative and this, that, and the other. So I would avoid all of that by doing it all myself,
Izzy would in the physical part to where if I'm not up cleaning, she would be the one up cleaning and doing this and taking care of the house. And in the head, I was the one where there's problems, there's emotions, everything needs to be talked about. And I was avoiding it. And I was always trying to find my way to fixing it. And if I felt like I would always lie to myself and be like, oh, it's just money. We're so focused on other things like money and the time and blah, blah. So I got to fix all that. And then once I fix all that, we'll be good. But if I didn't communicate that with her, she didn't understand.
Right. Well, she didn't even know.
Yeah, she didn't know. Yeah. So it spiraled out of control to where she assumed, I assumed, we all assumed, and then chaos.
We love to assume, don't we?
Yeah, chaos.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's what makes us us.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. She had to leave in order for me to see all that. She had to walk away. She had to step away. She had to leave me alone and let me be alone because I've never been alone.
Right.
I've always been under my mother's wings. She never gave me the space to grow my own wings. So now I'm growing my wings. I want to fly by myself. And then when I'm flying, I can touch wings with somebody else.
Right, yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, of course, the end result is a relationship or marriage or whatever. But I think right now I'm just like, I think I'm in my season. It is my time to just walk alone and focus on me and my boys. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. I guess because throughout my whole life I felt like that I took care of somebody or was in a relationship with somebody that right now I'm like, I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it, and if I don't want to do nothing, then I don't have to, that kind of thing. So I guess there was just so much work and effort put in before that now I'm like, ugh, kind of.
But you go back, you think about postpartum depression, which is real. You were in there. Regular depression, anxiety, lack of love, affection, communication, all that. So 13 years, when you think about it, it's not that long to get to where you are,
right, yeah.
I mean,
yeah. It did. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it did. I guess here was my thing. In the moment of time, a lot of times I thought, oh, it's not that bad.
Right.
It's not that bad. Once I left, then I realized, holy shit,
that shit was bad.
That was really bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I can think back on certain things, and I was like, wow, that's sad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really sad.
Yeah.
That I had to go through that he had to go through that the kids had to go through that, whether his choice or mine or whatever the situation was. But it's sad that it was that toxic and we thought that was okay, know?
That's weird. It's your reality when that's all you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how many relationships you were in before, like serious,
One.
Before. Exactly.
One.
Same here.
And it was worse than that.
I mean, same here.
Yeah.
It was just kind of really just one serious that my heart was committed,
right.
to that reality. And I think Izzy would say the same thing. It was just that one.
I realized that I kept the same cycle from my childhood. Mm-hmm. That was where I was comfortable.
You were comfortable.
I only have seen toxic ass relationships. Mm-hmm. My mom or my stepdad or my dad and my stepmom was a toxic ass relationship for 18 years. Mm-hmm. That was my example of what a marriage was supposed to be like. No, I'm not calling either one of them bad people, right, because they're not. Right. They just wasn't good for each other, and then the things that they chose to do didn't help. You know what I'm saying? So I went from that, and then my mom had a drinking problem. I didn't realize until after I got to my divorce that I never had much issue in a relationship with my dad. It was more of an issue of a relationship with my mom. Mm-hmm. My mom was an alcoholic. Mm-hmm. I married an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had that same cycle. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Where I lacked in a relationship with a parent is what I went for in a relationship with a man.
Same. My mom, she's not an alcoholic. Well, I would say she's not, but when you look at the definition, I mean, I would say she is, because it's either every day or every weekend. But when you do, it's like, okay, let's go.
Right.
She's gotten better. She used to smoke cigarettes a lot, and she's gotten better at that too. So I feel like, yeah, I try to follow that cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for you to run away from your problems, it's like look up to your parents, see what they're doing, and do the same thing.
Well, it's where you're comfortable. It's what you know.
Exactly.
And
when I realized there's things that I don't sit well that she does or she did and whatnot, I was like, whoa, I can't. If I continue to do that, if I continue to follow that example, I'm gonna end up not where she's at, maybe, but somewhere similar.
Right.
It's gonna be down the same hole.
Yeah.
Because you have to grow.
Mm-hmm.
You have to become a kid to be a grown person. You have to learn that.
Yeah, you do. And I mean, when I first got my divorce, there was a lot of times where, I wasn't used to my boys not being with me. My boys were with me 24/7. So when they would go to their dads, I had a lot of free time to kind of think. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of space.
And I didn't know what to do with it because I've always been a caregiver to somebody, so not have anybody to care for in 2 days, I was like, holy, what do I do?
It's depressing.
It is, but I figured out it was good though. It was good because I did a lot of growing in that time. Do
you feel like that was your lowest part in life out of all your 30-some years?
It was definitely. There's certain points in my marriage that were definitely lowest.
Worse.
Oh yeah. And then it was,
those points in your marriage were when you were alone, that you felt
alone. I felt alone.
You felt alone.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The whole, time.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna say the whole time. But for the majority of the time, I was in a relationship, but I was alone.
Yeah.
I felt alone.
Yeah.
And so.
I think Izzy can agree to that too, because I wrote a poem yesterday. It's like, sorry that I was looking at the stars while I was riding the waves. Like I wasn't paying attention to what was right in front of me.
Right.
And I'm sure she felt alone, because if you're doing something with somebody and they're not looking your way and not showing you how excited they are about the journey, then you're doing it alone.
Right.
Yeah.
I got that puppy. He's a mess. And the other day when I come in, I first let him out of his kennel. He is so excited to see me that he'll almost trip me. It's like he cannot control his body because he is that excited to see me. And I was like, you know what? That's how a relationship should be. Even after 10, 15, 20 years, you should be so excited to see that person, but people don't. I mean, I don't know. I guess they get comfortable or they rush into something that really isn't for them. Or
it's part of being lost,
Yeah.
It's part of being a kid. When you're a kid, you're lost. You're kind of blind,
Yeah.
You're still having fun in a way.
Right.
Like you don't see the goal in life yet.
Right.
You're just enjoying you.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
But now you found yourself. Do you know what your purpose is? Do you feel like you know what your purpose is? Did you read up the numerology and see what your...
Yeah, I mean, I did. I read up on all of that, and it was kind of spot on some things, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if your purpose doesn't change throughout seasons in your life. You know what I'm saying? I guess what I think sometimes is there like one big purpose, or is it throughout seasons, do you meet different purposes?
Oh, for sure. There's different roles,
Right.
You have different roles in life, but there's one big purpose. Like, you're a light worker, so your purpose is to, I guess, enlighten people.
Right.
So every moment you get in life, whoever comes to you, it's lived for that purpose.
Right.
Or your craft or whatever you do, like even working, just try to understand that you can control so much and then put your purpose in it.
You can control... I think people don't understand they can control more than what you think you can.
Yeah,
by raising vibes and positivity can change things, which kind of gives you a control. You know what I'm saying?
True.
And so I think people are just lazy, really.
Oh, yeah.
Extremely lazy.
Well, comfortable. They get comfortable, and that comfort comes from other people making that comfort for them. Like the government gives a lot of comfort to people in today's world.
Yeah.
You know? So for sure, you got to get out the comfort. You're never going to be comfortable, I feel like. You have to be comfortable with the discomfort.
Right.
So, like, choose your battles. Like, going back to the relationship stuff and the purpose, I would still rather work something out and fix something that's broken than to start on something new.
Right.
That's just me.
Yeah.
Because it's fixable, you know? There's a lot of things in life that are man-made that aren't fixable, but that's man-made. God created us as humans, and that's fixable to me, you know? So
both sides have to be willing to put in the work and do what it takes, though. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where, if you and Izzy are able to do that, that's amazing, you know, because normally it's one person, or, you know what I'm saying? And like we've talked about before, timing is everything, too. Yeah. You know, and we are such a, I want it right now kind of society that's where people jump from relationship to relationship to relationship because they don't want to be alone. They want what they want right now.
Oh, yeah.
And then it doesn't work out.
Well,
and then
I used to get desperate because I'd be like, she doesn't want me anymore. She doesn't want me anymore. So I'd run. I'd run from that reality and mess up again. Now it's like, okay, she doesn't want me. Okay, I'm still firm that I want her, but I'm not going to mess it up. I'm not going to run off and do anything stupid. I'm going to grow and become the person she wants. Right. Because at the end of the day, she wants somebody better than me. You know, somebody better than the person she was married to, you know? Like, that's the goal for her. And I can't let her down. Like, because if I do get comfortable or if I do settle, then she'll settle or whatever. And it'll just go back to the same cycle. It's over and over again. She's not settling anymore. I see that, you know, and I'm glad. I'm glad she's not settling anymore. Because, and
she shouldn't.
Yeah, she shouldn't.
And
nobody
you shouldn't either.
Yeah,
right. Nobody should.
Yeah.
And that is my thing. Like, there for a while, I think my ex-husband is finally kind of grasping it now. But there for a while, he would always say, like, oh, you think you're so much better than me now. Yeah. No, I'm not better than you. I've outgrown you and your bullshit and your cycle of toxicity. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so you're want to put me down and act like, you know, like, oh, I think I'm so much better than everybody is because my growth is making you uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's making you so uncomfortable and you don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying?
I was there. And I had to do everything, like, the impossible to, like, finally face it, you know? And, I mean, it's getting better.
What I think kills me sometimes the most, especially with people, for one, my ex-husband, there's so much potential. There's so much potential there. Like, he can be so much better of a person than what he chooses to be. And Everybody. He can make... but he doesn't.
They don't listen.
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you just want to... It's like people on... Like, I know several people right now who are on meth. Good people. And I just want to, like, shake them and be like, you're so much better than that.
I mean, we lost people at work, you know, for that reason. Yeah. You know, and it's weird. It sucks. And it's just like... I have an uncle, you know, who fell in that environment. And a lot of things happen, you know. He's in jail right now. So it's a wake-up call to not him only, but to a lot of people around him, too.
Yeah. But it sucks. I mean, because I guess I'm a fixer. So I if I could fix that for somebody, I would. But you can't. I mean, you can't. They have to do it for themselves.
Oh, yeah. And then it goes back to the energies, the vibes and stuff. Well, you're going to do what you can as far as providing good energies around. But if you see that they're draining you more than what you're building them, then you have to step away. Yeah. Because then you're going to be drugged into the drugs. You're going to be drugged.
Right, yeah.
You're going to be drugged into that same thing.
Yep. And that's why I'm very picky now on who I give my time and energy to, because it's my time and energy, and I don't want to be drained of it. You know, like, it took me 2 years to get to where I am now. And so I can look back and be like, well, I don't want to go back there again. So let me make better decisions on who I allow in my life, in my circle. That goes with friendships, anything, you know.
It's funny that you say that, because when I started the podcast, I was like, man, it's going to be a lot of rappers. I'm going to be interviewing a lot of rappers and talk about music and stuff. And then I was like, hold up. I can communicate with other people and talk about positive things and still connect music into it, because music tells stories. And I don't want to be focusing on people who I would say don't want to just grow. Like, there's some people who are just so comfortable with listening to Megan Thee Stallion, you know, and the stuff she pushes and all these other artists, and you're just like, how are you comfortable with that lifestyle? Like, how can you be? Because when you were a kid, you had a dream, you had some type of vision, you had some type of hope and some type of faith of growing up and doing something until money came into the picture. Now you're just so focused on money, you're looking at any way to get that money.
Right.
Yeah. So I was like, with the podcast, it's like, I'm going to get anybody on there. And no, like, now I just want to focus on people in my life who provide good energies, and then put that in the podcast, because then that will spread, you know, that will spread better.
Yeah.
Rather than talking about shit.
And to put, like they say, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. There's a whole world out there, and to focus on just one little aspect of it, you're cheating yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you really are. You're cheating yourself.
You're limiting yourself.
Big time. And I think today, like, society puts restrictions and limitations on us so much that it just drives me nuts.
It's monopoly when you think about it, though. Like, they want to have the full control.
Oh, for sure.
Like, you look at Facebook, they monopolize social media. Facebook now has TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, Messenger, and that's all the apps a person uses. Even WhatsApp.
You know what I do?
What?
Facebook. That's it. I don't have TikTok. I don't have Snapchat. I don't have Instagram. I do. They're out there somewhere that I've set up at one point in time, but I hadn't been on them in years because I'm like, you know what? Facebook gets enough of my time. And if it wasn't for, like, friends and family and keeping up with people, because, I mean, that's what you do. That's how you do it nowadays, you know. And I wouldn't have it either, because to me, it is about the control. You're wasting time, you know. I mean, yeah, it's funny and cute. It's like, me and my boys will, now, so we do enjoy this. We'll sit on my phone and watch, like, funny videos and stuff every once in a while on my phone, or animal videos or something. But I don't want to be focused here and miss everything out here, you know? Because there's so much more going on.
There'll be days where I'll delete all the social medias, and then there'll be days where I'm just, like, on it all day.
Right.
Or whatever. But I did have that addiction, you know.
It's okay to enjoy something. You just have to have a balance.
Yeah. I mean, finding the numerology thing, finding my life path in a way, like I was telling you, like, I'm a charming person, so I know that I'll be perfect in sales and marketing, or either or, because that's what I read up on. But you have to have that balance. You have to know when is work and when is your life.
Right.
Yeah.
To make those memories, you know. That's like my main goal for my boys is I want them to experience things in life as a child. Going places, going to Florida, even just going to the movie. Creating those memories with them as us together, you know, that I really don't have a whole lot of my childhood. I mean, we did, but we didn't. One thing my mom would do all the time with us is she would take us camping or take us to the lake. And I remember that, you know, and I loved doing that. And that was like our time with her. But I don't want to, like, I grew up and I was in my 20s and I had never been out of the South. I've never, you know, done certain things. And so I want my kids to experience a lot of that in the innocence of a child. You know what I'm saying? And be able to be like, oh, yeah, we did that.
I remember my mom would take me, like, to this park when I was young. It was just a tree. And the tree had a lot of weird branches and stuff, holes in it and stuff. So, like, kids would use it as, like, a playground. Right. And just play in the tree. But, yeah, just little things like that. It's what makes you you. And
right.
You need to understand that as a parent, because if you keep your kids stuck on the screen, that's all they're going to know. That's all they're going to think when they live.
And me too, I try to be, not all the time, and of course I could do a lot better and work on it a lot more. But when it comes that time with my kids, is actually interacting with them. Yeah. Yeah, I can take them to a park and let them play and sit on the bench and be on my phone. Yeah. True. I don't want to do that. Yeah. I want to interact with them, you know.
Find a way to.
Right, to kind of get on their level. And really it helps you too, because it does take you back to that childlike state. You know what I'm saying?
There's sometimes I want to get on the slide with them, you know.
Yeah.
I'm too big. And if nobody was watching, I'd definitely do it.
Right. You should do it anyway. Right. You know?
Yeah. It's that kid in you that wants to live.
And then that brings so much more bonding and memories for Aiden.
Oh, yeah.
And for my boys. You know what I'm saying? that we interact. And I don't just let them go and have a good time, you know.
We focus so much on society, like on what society thinks. That's why I think a lot of relationships break up, because they focus on what social media sees for them, you know, versus what they see for themselves.
Like this tawny little thing, like there's something better out there, something better out there, you know.
The grass is always greener on the other side until.
Yeah. Yep.
That's true. That's very true.
It is very true. Yeah. And it's sad too.
But, I mean, you can blame yourself. Like, people who are listening, you can blame yourself, but you can't always fully blame yourself. You know, you have to understand God let everything happen for a reason. So you're there right now for a certain reason, and you can do so much more than what you did yesterday. Don't go back to what you did yesterday. Do something a little different. You know, it doesn't have to be something totally different, but for example, if you're addicted to drugs and you want to stop, try to take a little bit less tomorrow or right now, you know, make that step, step away.
Yeah, set up goals. And that's me, like right now. I have a couple of goals for myself that I want to meet. I want to be physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally healthy all the way around, you know. So I know there are things that I'm going to have to change and let go of to get that. But I feel like
it's worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it. And I can feel it in my spirit. Like, this is what you need to do. Like, just if you would make these little steps, you know, then there's
and that's
a bigger
just you
payoff
finding
there.
yourself. You're being in tune with you, with the real you, versus letting somebody else kind of dictate your next move.
And I wouldn't go back to it any other way. You know, like, I can sit back and think about, you know, my childhood, my 20s, my marriage, and I'm like, wow, you know, looking back where I was there and where I am now is great.
Yeah.
And you want to have that for other people. You want to show other people, like, hey,
you could have had it way worse. Like,
I could have. Absolutely.
I could have had it way worse. Like, just by looking at your story and stuff, like, dang, like, I don't know what my future holds, but it sounds like my life at this moment could have been way worse, you know? And I'm sure you can say the same about yourself.
Absolutely, because, and me and my siblings talk about this sometimes, you know, their perspective on things and how our childhood was is one way. Me, I'm like, it wasn't the best, wasn't the worst, but it could have been a lot worse. Yeah. It could have been way worse, you know. I mean,
it's life.
Yeah, and so I'm grateful that it wasn't, I guess, you know, and I'm thankful for it because it made me who I am, and I'm okay with that.
I think those listening should also, after this, should listen to the podcast with Victoria, because her life was very troubling. Like, she had a man that loved her all the time, you know, and was there to pretty much do anything for her. She didn't love herself in a certain time, you know, postpartum depression, same thing, everything, you know. And he pretty much was the one that told her, you need to do this so you can find yourself, and I'll be here for you, you know. It takes a strong person to do that, you know?
Does.
Like,
a very selfless person.
Exactly.
Very selfless.
Like, when she told me that story, I was like, whoa, like, that's crazy. Like, she went into pills and stuff. Like, she tried almost everything, you know, like doctor therapy, foster homes growing up, and all that, like, very unstable past. So it's like, somebody willing to do that for you, like, that's a blessing. You know?
Very much so.
Like, that's just a blessing. Like, it's crazy. Like, but
that somebody would love you
know?
that much. Yeah. That's that is crazy. That's wonderful. I mean, good for her.
Right. It's like, you realize what you take for granted sometimes, you know? Like, Izzy, she's done so much for me, you know? Like, she's done a whole lot. She's gone a lot out of her way, put herself on hold for so long for me, you know?
Right.
And it's like, dang, does she deserve that? Like, I mean, I didn't mean to, you know? Like,
right.
I was blinded, and I can see that now, but I don't feel like she deserved it, and I'm forever sorry that I hurt her in the way I did, you know, the way I broke her heart. Like, I wouldn't want to do that to anybody. I wouldn't want to do that to her over again, ever, you know?
Yeah.
Or anybody to do that to me. So, we got to look at what we have in front of us.
For sure.
Other than that, screen.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. Yep. Because we take so much for granted. We really do. And it's sad. It's heartbreaking, you know.
This world we live in, it's the hell that we have to make a heaven. We have to make a paradise. And I think that goes to our purpose. Like, when you live in peace, you rest in peace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they can get rid of you, but they can't get rid of your energy.
Right. Because energy has to be transferred.
Yeah.
It can't die.
Yeah.
It goes somewhere, you know?
Exactly. Like, if you die, your kids and your family is going to receive the energy that you have, and they're going to push it. They're going to push it until they can't anymore. You know?
Yeah.
Because
I never really thought about it like that.
I mean, think about it, though. Because they hurt so much, and they ask, like, why did God do this? So they feel like they have to do something about it. And every day they probably do, subconsciously, but throughout time it fades away because your energy is spread out in the world, and then they're still pushing their purpose. But, like, what gives me peace is, like, let's say I'm feeling anxious or sad or depressed or whatever, I pray, and in whatever moment I'm doing, it's like, God, push this energy away from me and transfer it here or whatever. Get rid of it and distribute it.
Do you meditate?
I try to, but I haven't gotten there yet. Like, I drive around and I'm praying. I'm like, whatever crazy thoughts that I'm dealing with and demons and stuff, spreading them to these homes, you know, and not all in one, like evenly, so we can all together fight and just be better people. Because I know that we all have demons we fight, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the circles you create. It's like, if you think about it, the neighborhood, if it's a good neighborhood, then you know it's a little bit more stable, so you're more comfortable spreading those energies, those bad energies within them, because you trust the environment.
Right.
You trust that you're in a good state of mind versus, oh, I'm gonna go to the hood and do it. It's like, well, the hood is bad enough. Like, why would you even want to do that? You need to help the hood, right? You know,
you need to take the good energy and spread it over there. Yeah.
That's what keeps me at peace.
Yeah, I think that we have a lot more control and a lot more access to deeper things within ourselves that we don't even tap into.
Yeah.
You know, I think some people do, and some people have learned and like, oh, okay, you know, so let me tap into this, let me tap into that. But if everybody did that, I think
this world would be such a better place.
Such a better place.
Like, if we focus on hunger here in the USA, the people in the USA focus on the problems here, we would definitely be able to end a lot of issues.
And because, you know, like they say, science says that we only use like this part, much of our brain.
Oh, yeah, a certain percent.
Yeah.
Kind of like the what we know about the sea.
Yeah. So, yeah, if we could really take it to a different level, a deeper level, and tap into things that I think that God gave us that for whatever reason we don't. I mean, think about the Indians. They did stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? The Indians. They did stuff like that. But it's like over time, stuff like that. I mean, I know different cultures have different ways of doing, but us as like the United States, I don't feel like that we do.
Oh, no. They were so distracted. The economy and market is so distracted by power. Me and D on the first episode, we were talking about how back then, he said something about like people were, like the Indians, you said, they would raise each other in a way. Like, they were all fathers to everybody else, right? So I started thinking about what he said that day, and I was like, there was a point where I was talking to this girl from my past.
That's why they say it takes a village to raise a kid. That's where that came from, was like the Indians. Yeah,
so that girl, I had told her, like, we had talked and see, I guess, to see if there was a connection again or whatever. And throughout the conversation, we realized there really wasn't. So I pretty much told her and let her know that at the end of the day, I'm just going to look out for people, hoping they can look out for me too. Like, I'm just going to do whatever I can. I'm not really going to try to push anything else more if it's not there. You know, it's just like, you're there for a reason. You were in my past for a reason. God put you there for a reason. And I'm just going to lead by example, pretty much.
Yeah.
And try to do that. And if they see it, then
if people were honest like that, when it came to being single, you know what I'm saying, and talking to people, if they were just honest, upfront and honest about how they felt when it came to a connection or not,
we would have a lot of better...
Yeah. I mean, people wouldn't be as damaged. We wouldn't be... You know what I'm saying? I mean...
Yeah, because when you're hurt, it's like you lie to these people, and you transfer those energies, and they get the energy, the bad energy, and now they're living with it.
And like we talked about, it's never just one lie.
Right.
It starts with one lie, and then it turns into
one white lie.
Yeah.
It creates one big black hole.
It really does. Yeah. It really, really does. Yeah. But people don't want to be honest because they're greedy and they're selfish. And they're trying to get something for themselves. You know what I'm saying? And not looking at how it's going to affect the person.
You have to treat everybody as a life partner. You know, Izzy's I would say my full-time life partner, and then friends are part-time life partners, just like family and all that. And then acquaintances are just like random interactions that you have to like see in a way as life partners too, because you're sharing life with them, you're sharing this world with them, and all you have to do is just do the best you can, what you can control as far as the positive vibes and optimism goes.
And be real.
Be real.
People are
I appreciate you for being real. Like, I mean, that allowed me, I had a lot of issues with lying, you know? I had a lot of trouble with that. So seeing you always be real and seeing how much it worked for you pushed me to be real all the time and just continue to push the truth. And the more you push the truth, the better you're off. Every day when you tell the truth, it's like such a relief.
Yeah, because then you don't have something weighing on your back, you know?
Well, it was definitely a pleasure talking about it all. And I hope, a lot of people listen.
Yeah.
One day. Maybe not tomorrow or whatever, but, and they take something from it.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
It's how they take something from it and be like, oh, I'm not the only one that felt that way, or you know what I'm saying? Because it's good to have people that it helps you when you have people who can relate. You're like, oh.
And more when it's a positive outcome.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Let me know how to do it again.